At St. Catherine's, the fence wasn't just a wall, it was a line between life and death.
Once upon a time, in a famous all-girls boarding school called St. Catherine's, there was a girl named Chisholm. She was a quiet girl from a simple home and had come to the school on a scholarship. She sat by the hostel window that evening, her eyes shining with curiosity, as she watched something she had never seen before. 3 luxury cars drove into the school, one after the other. The cars were shiny, big, and beautiful, the kind you only see in movies. Chisholm held her breath as the first car door opened. Out stepped Miriam, a tall, pretty girl with long, straight hair that sparkled under the sun. Miriam was the daughter of a rich and powerful politician. Everyone in the school knew her and respected her, not because she was kind, but because she was untouchable. A man in a fine suit came down from the driver's seat, opened her door, kissed her on the forehead, and whispered something in her ear. Miriam smiled and looked around quickly to be sure no one was watching. Then, the second car stopped. This time it was Sandra. She was also beautiful, but in a calm and gentle way. Sandra came from a well-known political family. She didn't need to talk much because when she entered a room, people noticed. The same man from before opened her door too, kissed her forehead, and whispered to her. The third car brought Vanessa. Though she was the youngest, she was the boldest of them all. Vanessa's father was a big man in the House of Representatives. She was smart, clever, and very sure of herself. The man did the same thing for her, opened the door, kissed her forehead, and whispered softly before leaving. The 3 girls shared a knowing glance, then quietly climbed over the school fence and disappeared into the hostel. No one stopped them. No one ever did. Chisholm watched them and sighed. She had always wanted to belong, to have friends like them, to live that kind of life. But her parents were not rich. They couldn't afford expensive clothes or fancy phones. Still, she never stopped dreaming. The next day was Saturday, and at St. Catherine's, Saturdays were called beauty days. That was when all the girls went to the school salon to make their hair, fix their nails, and look pretty for the new week. But as usual, Miriam, Sandra, and Vanessa went first. They paid extra money so the salon ladies would leave everyone else and attend to them alone. The other students sat quietly, waiting for their turn. No one dared to complain. Chisholm and her best friend, Ini, were used to this. They didn't have the kind of money to pay for special treatment. Most times, they would sit outside under a tree and braid each other's hair, choosing simple styles they could afford. But no matter how simple their hair was, they were happy to have each other. That afternoon, as they were walking back to the hostel after finishing their hair, they heard laughter coming from a corner of the room. It was Miriam, Sandra, and Vanessa, dressed in fine clothes and surrounded by snacks and drinks. "Look at those ones," Vanessa said loudly, pointing at Chisholm and Ini. "Ugly monkeys. Don't they know that beauty is money?" The other girls burst into loud laughter. Chisholm and Ini ignored them and kept walking, but just as they passed, Ini tripped and her foot hit one of the girls' smoothies. The pink drink spilled on the fine carpet. "I'm sorry," Ini said quickly, her face turning red. Miriam stood up sharply. "You poor thing," she said coldly. "Have you ever even seen a smoothie before? That's 10,000 naira you just wasted." "I can't pay that," Chisholm said, her voice shaking. "Then be careful next time," Vanessa hissed, giving them a cruel smile. Chisholm's heart felt heavy. She hated how powerless she was in this school where money ruled everything. But what could she do? The next week, something unexpected happened. Miriam came to sit beside Chisholm in class. She was smiling sweetly, but Chisholm could feel something strange behind that smile. "You read a lot, don't you?" Miriam asked. "Yes," Chisholm answered softly, focusing on her notes. Well, Miriam said, leaning closer, we're having an outing next weekend, and we want you to come. If you do, we'll accept you as one of us. Chisholm's heart jumped. The 3 richest and most popular girls in school wanted her in their circle. This was her chance. A part of her warned her to be careful, but another part longed to belong. Okay, she whispered, her voice shaking with excitement. That evening, one of the junior girls delivered a special package to Chisholm. Inside was a hot grilled catfish, a chilled smoothie, and a note that said, "Enjoy, darling, Miriam." Chisholm felt like she was dreaming. She ate the meal slowly, savoring every bite, and smiled to herself. So this is what it feels like to be one of them, she thought. On Saturday night, she wore an expensive outfit that Miriam had given her. As she was getting ready, Innie came into the room. "Chisholm," Innie said, surprised. "You now make your hair at the school salon." "Yes," Chisholm replied confidently. "Things have changed." Innie frowned. "Are you sure this is a good idea? Those girls. They're trouble." Chisholm waved her hand. "Relax, Innie. They make the rules here. Nothing happens to them." "I just hope you don't regret this," Innie said quietly and left. But Chisholm had made up her mind. That night, she followed the 3 girls as they climbed the school fence and sneaked into a waiting car. The driver took them to a big, beautiful mansion with bright lights, music, and a swimming pool that sparkled in the dark. Chisholm's mouth dropped open in awe. Inside, the music was loud and colorful lights filled the room. The girls ran to meet their boyfriends while Chisholm stood alone by the wall, unsure of what to do. She remembered her mother's voice in her head. "Avoid boys and focus on your books. Don't let anyone distract you." But then, a handsome young man walked up to her. "Hey, beautiful," he said with a smile. "I'm Ken. Can I sit with you?" Chisholm's heart pounded. "I'm Chisholm," she replied shyly. Ken smiled. "You're stunning." They talked quietly while others danced and drank. Before the night was over, Ken gave her a brand new iPhone and some money. "Take this, my angel," he said. "Call me anytime." Chisholm could hardly believe it. She had never owned anything so expensive. She held the phone tightly, her heart full of excitement. Maybe this is my new life, she thought. In the weeks that followed, everything about Chisholm changed. She started walking with her head held high, wearing new clothes and carrying the iPhone everywhere. People began to notice her. Even the juniors greeted her differently now. The once quiet scholarship girl was now part of the big girl circle. Ken would send her money, airtime, and new clothes. He invited her to parties, and sometimes she would sneak out of school at night with Miriam, Sandra, and Vanessa. The parties were always loud, with plenty of food, drinks, and music. It felt like a dream. But slowly, things started to get out of hand. Chisholm began skipping classes, ignoring her books, and staying out late. She hardly spoke to Annie anymore. The things that once mattered to her didn't seem important now. She was chasing after a life of luxury, following the same path as the other girls. One evening, Ken invited her to a private party at his house. The other girls were there too, with their boyfriends. But later that night, as the party quieted down, Ken asked Chisholm to follow him to his room. At first, everything seemed fine, until he started touching her in a way that made her uncomfortable. "I can't do this," Chisholm said, moving away. "My mother warned me." Suddenly, Ken's face changed. The sweet, caring man she knew was gone. He frowned and spoke coldly. "Then give me back the iPhone and the money. You think I buy gifts for free?" Chisholm's heart broke. She left the house in tears. When she returned to school, Miriam, Sandra, and Vanessa were waiting. "You missed your chance to become a real big girl," Sandra sneered. Vanessa laughed. "Don't worry. Next time, if you get pregnant, there are pills for that." Chisholm's chest felt tight. She wanted to cry, to scream, to go back in time, but it was too late. Days turned into weeks, and Chisholm felt trapped. The parties, the expensive gifts, and the lies were eating her up. She stopped talking to Annie completely. Her schoolwork suffered, and teachers began to notice. Then, one day, the worst happened. Chisholm discovered she was pregnant. Her hands shook as she held the test result. She felt like the ground beneath her feet was disappearing. She ran to Vanessa for help, but Vanessa only rolled her eyes. "I told you. There are drugs for this. Or, there's someone who can help you," she said with a wicked smile. Chisholm didn't want to do it, but fear pushed her. That night, they sneaked out of school to meet the woman Vanessa arranged. The place was dirty and dark. Chisholm's heart pounded in fear. The woman gave her some pills and told her what to do. But things went terribly wrong. As they were sneaking back into school after midnight, Chisholm collapsed by the fence. The girls panicked and ran, leaving her behind. By morning, someone found her unconscious. The school nurse rushed her to the hospital, but it was too late. The doctors tried everything they could. Chisholm died on the operating table. The news spread through St. Catherine's like wildfire. The teachers cried. The students whispered. Annie locked herself in her room, broken and heartbroken. The three girls acted sad for a while, but by the next week, they were back to their usual ways, laughing, partying, and living like nothing had happened. Chisholm's story became a sad warning for every girl in St. Catherine's. A simple girl with big dreams, lost to a dangerous world she was never prepared for.